are now plugged into Hooked on Sonics with Bruce and Tone Capone.
And we're live.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to a very special episode of Hooked on Sonics. I am one of your two hosts, Bruce, and as always, the Tone Capone. This week's episode is dedicated to the good fuckers and those who want to be good fuckers, as we are joined by the heart and soul of the world's greatest rock and roll band, here to talk about his latest album, Liquor, Women, Drugs, and Killing. So much more. Everybody, please welcome to the show Edward Carlisle Daly III, or as you may know him better, Eddie Spaghetti. What's up, my friend?
How are you, buddy?
Hey, good to see you. Thanks for doing this.
Can you hear
I
me
know,
okay? I have these weird ear pods in. I don't know if
You're good.
yeah,
it
we can
works
hear you
okay.
great.
All
Yep.
right, good.
So yeah, you just wrapped up a 2 month tour in Europe, and it actually ended on your birthday. So happy belated birthday on that.
Thank you.
That's right. How was that tour?
Surprisingly good. It seems like the new record's doing what it's supposed to do, making people feel, like the band is vital and important once again.
Yeah.
Even for a minute. It helps everything to have a really good record, out.
Yeah.
Having had it, it's had some time now for people to hear it, and it's starting to show up at the shows, and because those are the songs that you want to play. You don't want to. I don't want to play Retarded Bill again. I want to play the new songs. So,
Yeah. So currently, um, how many of the new songs are on the set list?
well, there's probably seven of them in the rotation for the set list,
Nice. You know, I
which
love I love that you're doing that because there's so many bands now that, they'll put out a record and they don't play anything off the album, which makes no sense to me.
well, because they're
Like,
putting out shitty records. That's what people do who put out crap. They ignore it.
yeah,
They pretend like it's good when it's not any good because they're not playing it. It's good if you play it live. If you play it
no, I
live, it's
agree.
good. There's
Yeah.
records of ours that don't get a lot of live airplay. It's because they just, they weren't the best records that we've done. Now we have so many.
Yeah,
It's just hard to make a set list no matter what. Uh,
yeah.
so without
Now,
we change it every night a little bit.
yeah, I was gonna say, how much leeway do you guys give yourselves? Like, um, there are some bands that they start with a set list at the beginning of the tour, and they may throw in one different song. How much leeway do you guys give yourselves?
Well, I try to keep the rotation of different songs from each record. Three or four different songs every night. I try to make them at least one or two that we haven't played all tour, and that we will only play that one night. There's always that one night song in
Yeah,
every set list. So it just, it keeps the guys on their toes about all the songs I've made up. It keeps them having to know them, and it's fun. It makes it more fun for me.
Now, of
I
all the
l-
new stuff that you guys are playing live, what seems to be getting some pretty good response?
Try to write a song.
Yeah,
oh yeah,
that's a great
People
tune.
people eat that shit up. It's wonderful. That song's a victory for me because I brought it to the band. It was kind of a different kind of song when I made it up. It was a kind of a bloated, sort of a ballady sort of a thing. And I brought it to the band, and they didn't like it. So I was like, oh my God, you don't like that. You're just screwed. You don't know what's what.
right.
And then so I took it back and I recorded a version of it with this trucking band that I have, and it didn't really fit with that catalog, so it just sort of sat on the shelf. And then I reworked it and brought it to the band. Like when we were rehearsing for this record, it was one of the last things I brought. And they were like, wow, that's fucking great. I'm like, yeah, I know.
I told you.
Dipshits. Who's
Well,
running this show?
what was the reworks on that?
Oh, I just changed the tempo and, sort of made it feel like more like a replacement sort of a song.
Hmm.
than like sort of a, I don't know, it was almost like a, I don't know, Bob Dylan-y sort of a thing when I made it up, and then it became more of a, had a more replacements vibe, and that resonated with the band.
Nice.
So that's all it took to trick these stupid idiots that I play with.
They're big dumb animal folks.
They're big dumb dummies. I love
Now, from the time the album was started to completion, how long did that process take you guys?
them. Oh my God, so long.
Because it was
We
like
start,
5 years from the last album, wasn't it?
yeah. So COVID came and ruined the whole, the flow of the way we work. And then the first thing we did out of that was the Marty record. Metal Marty has a solo record that is essentially the Supersuckers Gap record, because I did it just, I wrote all the songs on it just like I would normally do a Supersuckers record,
Mhm.
only it was all for Marty to sing and have Marty be the star and make it a Marty thing, because I felt like that needed to happen. And that record is incredible, but it's not considered a Supersuckers record. It should be, but whatever. So it wasn't really 5 years, is what I'm saying. There was a solid lot of work that went into that Marty record, and that came out in 23.
Okay.
So, you know, and this one came out in 25.
Right.
So, but we had a lot. I had a lot of these songs done 2 years before it came out. Like, I was ready to make this record right after the Marty record, pretty much. And we started to record it and got interrupted. I had in-law die, had
Mhm.
to stop it, come back to it. We couldn't come back to it for a long time. We finally came back to it, and then we finished it, and then the mixing of it took fucking forever. Like literally, I had forgotten about it and I'd already started writing other songs. And then the mixes started coming in, and they were, incredible. And I was like, oh right, we did something really great. I forgot.
So,
It took an irritatingly long time, and I
what?
won't do it that way again.
So, what was the holdup of that whole mixing process?
Well, my asshole friend, who was super talented and did us a huge favor by pretty much donating his entire time to help us make this record, he gets busy. He works
Yeah.
for fucking Metallica. He's actually works for Brendan O'Brien, who's
Oh
currently
yeah.
working for Metallica. So we get put on the back burner a lot, which, it's like we're sneaking into the studio after midnight. It's that sort of thing with this guy. And he's just fucking he's great. I love him. He's been a friend of mine since the 1980s, and we worked together in a band when I was still in high school.
Mhm.
And he's just been a great. He's super talented, and he's just really difficult to work with because he's in no fucking hurry. He doesn't care. It's not his life. He's not waiting to go on tour and have it mean something again.
That's
So it's
Oh
hard.
shit. The album does sound fantastic. So I mean the the final product is just awesome. And so it's damn well worth the wait.
I
Um,
know.
but it's God, it's frustrating. I can imagine.
Yeah, I know.
Um,
It's really great.
I love the tone of this album. It's to me it's kind of like I don't want to say darker, but it's a little more like it's got more age to it.
Dude, there's nothing but bitching and moaning. Every single song is complaining about something, or telling somebody what to do, or how they're doing it stupid, or I'm just a negative fuck. I mean, when I had a real
That's why I
crisis,
love it.
I had a real crisis when we were done with it, and I just dawned on me that every single song, not only are they all meaningful songs,
Hmm.
is something I hate, they all mean something, and it's just negative fucking bullshit. It's just it's just so awful. The record should have been called "Bitchin' and Moaning." It would
No,
have fitted.
would you consider this album a therapy session?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I didn't think about it as being so negative when I'm writing it. I think of these songs as somewhat joyful. Like a
Yeah.
lot of them are like really sort of fun, happy, chorusy, but they're all about awful shit.
Yeah.
So I guess that's my skill. That's what I do.
Turning awful shit into awesomeness.
Right.
Uh, One of the tracks that really stuck out to me was Unsolvable Problems. Because of that, it's like, dude, we're all dealing with all this shit,
Yeah.
as we're getting older, our fucking feet drag, we're hurting all the time.
That one
So,
goes over so well live too. That maybe even a little bit better than Write a Song, actually. I should have probably led with that one because it's my favorite song on the record. And it sounds the most like it should be a hit song to me. Like
yes.
I don't see why it's not. I know it won't be. I know next to nobody will ever hear it, but the people that do will fucking be singing it for a little while.
Well, to me, that song perfectly fits onto like Outlaw Country on,
Yeah,
Sirius XM. That's a
that's a
perfect
country
fit
song.
for that. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I view that as a country song.
Yeah.
Or
So
That's
a Super
crazy.
Suckers country song, as country as we get.
that's right.
Cowpunk.
I guess I always hated being called cowpunk. I don't
You
know
know what?
why.
I've never understood why it became a term. You know what I
Well,
mean?
I get it. I mean, it sort of reflects who we are. I mean, we do reflect that sort of sensibility to a T. We're sort of, I don't think we're very punk rocky, but we do, I guess we make a kind of a punk rock sort of a thing. And I don't
I
know.
definitely
I wear a
think,
cowboy hat.
yeah. So, um, I definitely think your early stuff was definitely more punk fused. But
For sure.
yeah, and so I kind of see it like early on, but now, I mean, you're just straight up rock and roll. I'd fucking love it. I love
That's
the
what I
early
think.
stuff too, um, but like as you compare yourselves to like other quote unquote cowpunk people like Jason and the Scorchers, um, Tex and the Horseheads, those are who I
The
think
beat
were.
farmers.
Yes, the Beat Farmers.
Yeah, I think
Absolutely.
of that kind of stuff as cowpunk. Even, I mean, the Blasters almost, and X
Hmm.
kind of in a little bit of a way, but not really. I mean,
Yeah.
X is way
No,
more urban. I feel like we're way more urban, except for we do the country thing. So,
yeah. No,
I don't know.
what sets you guys apart is the edge. You've always had the edge that those other bands didn't. Not as much, in my opinion.
I would say more
Yeah,
like that punk attitude because like that's one thing I've talked about over the years is all these bands that come along and they've been labeled as punk and I'm like, you know what? They're missing the key element that makes punk punk and that's the attitude, because you can don the apparel and everything, but if you don't have the attitude, you're not you're not you're not selling what needs to be bought, you know?
yeah.
And
I've never thought of myself as being a punk. I don't like much punk rock. I like a few bands that are considered punk rock, but they're the
yeah,
most mainstream punk rock ever. The Sex Pistols, the Ramones, Rancid, I think are pretty great.
yeah.
But I don't like all that punk rocky, no effectsy, adolescency, that sort of side of the punk rock. I don't know it.
Yeah.
I've never really spent any time with it. So
Yeah. No,
it ain't my thing.
were you a big fan of the Dictators at all?
I like the Dictators more now than I ever had.
Yeah.
I appreciate them now. I saw this clip of them recently doing something in their heyday, on some show or something. It was fucking so awesome. And you forget.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, we had those guys on the show when they released their last album, and God, Ross and all the guys were just fucking fantastic, and that album was just absolutely great. But to
Yeah, it had
me,
good songs on it, and that's
great.
a late in the game record for them. And
Yep.
we did that outlaw or that country or that what is it,
Little
the
Steve in the
underground garage
garage. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
cruise with them last time, which we're about to leave for in a couple days.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Man,
but
Nice.
that should be really fun. I've heard those cruises are absolutely a blast.
this one's going to be particularly good. There's a couple of artists that I'm stoked that I'll actually get to meet, and say hi to, and tell them a little bit about how great I've thought their music was as a kid.
Yeah.
It's pretty
Yeah.
great.
And who's that?
Mike Monroe mainly.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, we had Steve Conti on, his guitar player. Um,
Mhm.
super cool, talented guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I met
Super
Great,
cool.
great
Steve on one of those
conversation.
cruises too.
Yep.
Yeah, great conversation we had with Steve.
Do
Looking
do
forward
you
to some of the stuff. He's working on new stuff, ain't he?
Well, Michael Monroe just released his new album.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's going on that, and that's a killer album too. So that's really
Mike
good to
Monroe,
hear.
another guy who's good later. He finally knows how to sing. I was trying to turn my oldest kid onto Hanoi Rocks,
Hmm.
because for me it was they were a pivotal moment in my growing up as a young rock and roller. I had like all this. They're like legends in my mind. But
Yeah.
I'm going through their catalog, trying to listen to a song to turn my kid onto, and they all suck. I mean, kind of. They're all just sort of marred by really bad pitchy singing, and just not really. I mean, there's no real good one. It's
You
just a
like
sort of a thing that you
yeah.
have to be into.
Well, that's it. It's like we all have those bands where no other person in their right mind would like it, but like for you, for in that space and time when you were listening to them, it was the best shit ever.
Right. In the early 80s, that shit was fucking gold, man.
Oh yeah.
Loved it.
Do you find yourself still getting kind of like starstruck?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's certain artists that I think so highly of what they do, that I would be a little bit intimidated. And some of them are younger than me now. I have to deal with that. Like, you're this dude's how old?
Yeah.
Ah, that's good. So there's a lot of that now, which is difficult. But
Yeah.
I like it. I like still having that awe for an artist, and that music can be such a fucking cool thing to make me just look at somebody like, wow, you can do that. It
Yeah.
blows my mind.
I love that because like that tells me you're still a fan. There's so many musicians that are just so jaded and busted up from the business part of it. Like they don't care. Like they don't like they don't they don't listen to anything new. They don't stay engaged with any of it. So, knowing that, that's really awesome. That's really
Yeah,
awesome.
and I think it keeps me, in a state of becoming. I'm not, I haven't arrived anywhere. I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm really good at it, but I don't. I could be better, I'm sure. And
Well,
there's,
you yeah. You're
or
38 years and strong, keep going.
yeah, you'd think if I was like a plumber for that long, I'd be a fucking amazing plumber, right? I don't know why, your skills are supposed to diminish in art or rock and roll, especially. Like, you're supposed to just get worse at what you do. Most bands do.
Yeah.
I guess that's why that stigma is there, because that is the fate of most creative sparks, are just that. They're just a spark and they
Mhm.
go out. But some people actually have creative fire that
Yeah.
burns and burns and burns
How do you keep that fire? How do you keep your edge?
by not succeeding.
Now, see, I'm pushed back a little bit, man. You've had some great success. No, is it Metallica level or whatever? No, but man, the impact that your band has on other musicians and just, people all around the world, man, the fact that you're still able to tour across the fucking world, that that's success.
Yeah,
Like,
I wrestle with that, like my whole career I've always kind of lamented the lack of popularity of our band. I felt like, we're every bit as good as the Foo Fighters or whoever the most popular band in the world is.
mhm.
We're that good. But now I've kind of come to realize that, this is better, to have like I can go to any city anywhere in the world and 100 people will come out and see what I do. that's real. I mean,
Yeah.
that's like, it's not like fake. It's not some bullshit. They're not there to see some bullshit. They're to see what I do, and it's really good. And maybe the band is exactly as popular as it ought to be in that regard. It's like I know that because it's not so popular, that it's not shitty.
Right.
Like because people eat McDonald's. People like shitty things. People like crappy movies. People like bad food. People like shit music.
Hmm.
That's just what most people like.
Yeah.
Most people are idiots.
Yeah.
So we don't deal with most people.
That's
And I'm
right.
able to walk the streets freely as a common man. I don't have anybody bothering me. Yeah, I got what I need. It's pretty great.
I love that.
That's awesome.
That's great attitude. You get the best of both worlds.
Yeah, I don't have all the burden of fame and or fortune for that matter. Both
So
things could be a problem, I'm sure.
let me ask, because I've often talked with guys when, getting a chance to speak with them out at the clubs or the shows and whatnot. And do you, would you say you have more success or maybe overseas than here in the States? Because I've often heard that sometimes some of us from some of the bands from the States can go over to places like Japan and really blow out crowds and stuff and whatnot. Do you guys experience that, or is it pretty much mirrors what's going on here at home?
It's a little better for us in Europe for sure. Like there's pockets that are considerably better. Like in Spain, we're kind of, I don't know, we're legends in Spain for some reason. We just do really well there. And we eat shit in France, which is just right next door. So who knows why? And Germany is great, and Spain and Germany and maybe the UK and Scandinavia, some of that are all so much better than most of the United States, except, all the big cities in the United States are always great. And the West Coast is exceptional. Austin is good.
Yeah.
So,
So you're getting
it's
ready to,
just
no, go ahead. Sorry.
it's easier to have more consecutive awesome shows in a row in Europe than it is in the United States. But at the end of the day, it's not that big a difference.
Okay.
So you're getting ready to go back on tour after this cruise. You're going on tour with Scott H. Byram for some West Coast shows, kind of in the middle, and I think you're going up to Canada too, right?
I think so.
Yeah,
I got to bring my passport. I
yeah.
might stay.
I was
Fuck
going to
that
have.
shit.
It's getting wild.
Yeah.
It's getting wild. Do have you found like that traveling has gotten a little worse as far as uh, you know, going across borders and stuff? Has that gotten harder for you guys?
Name one thing in the world that's gotten better.
Yeah.
There's
Tony
what's
would argue the weed. The weed has
Yeah,
gotten
okay,
better.
you're right. The weed has gotten better, and I appreciate that so much. That keeps me from losing my shit, really. I mean,
Yeah,
I don't drink
amen.
anymore, so that's all I got.
Now, see, that's all I do. But, Smokezilla over there, you know,
Well, me
it's
and
always a
you
good
got to
time.
get together sometime and
We'll make
That's
that happen.
smoke it up.
when did you first meet Scott? Like how long have you guys known each other and why a tour together?
Scott
I'm pretty
Byram,
sure you guys, yeah.
I don't remember when I first met him, but I saw his dick the first time I met him.
It was love ever since.
He shows it a lot, so I'm not the only person who's seen it by a long stretch, but he's gonna get me too'd so bad. He's gonna wave it, he's gonna waggle it to the wrong gal, and she's gonna fucking slap a lawsuit on him, and he's gonna be in trouble, man. He's a dick waggler. He's he's super talented. He wrote what I would consider to be an American standard. That still broke, still lonesome, still blue, or whatever, still
That
drunk.
is literally my favorite song of his. It's
It's
just
it's
a
it's a it's one of those, it's a perfect song.
yes.
And it's not everybody has that.
No. Now that's awesome. Um, Tony, what do you got? As I just
Nothing
drew a
right
blank.
offhand, man. I just want to sit and kind of mention that, as I look at my going back over my review, I remember this album just really starting off strong with Maybe I'm Just Messing with You. I was just like, okay, Bruce has got me into something here, and just continuously, this thing had solid bangers all across the board. Doug Volunteer, I thought that was a really cool kind of tongue-in-cheek thing going on there. I love your tongue-in-cheek, but somewhat direct forwardness with your lyrics. It eats me up. Like I was sitting there, I called Bruce up probably halfway through it. I was like, dude, this is a solid album, man. And I think he ended up when at the end of the year, what we do is we get with a buddy of ours and we do our top 5 album releases of the year. I think yours ranked up in Bruce's top 5 for the year.
It was my top album of last year.
Yeah, did it make number 1 for you? Yeah, it was.
Fucking
Absolutely.
ain't right. You guys got good
Fucking Aaron.
taste. Is what people of impeccable taste. That's what I'm
Yeah,
talking
it's
about.
it's a
You know,
solid album.
the lyrics on our records are always good, and they don't have to be. I mean, it doesn't really matter who really cares what the band's singing about usually, but when the lyrics are good, it's such a bonus.
Yeah, it's definitely like the cherry on top.
Now, being
Oh,
that your catalog is so big, and I mean, you guys have several albums since '92. You guys have been pretty consistent about getting albums out to fans and whatnot. My question is, are you in a state as you've grown older that you're finding it harder to come up with material?
No,
That's good.
I find it harder to I don't know, write the words are not always the easiest thing to come up with, but it's still like I'm still captivated by a phrase or a saying, or somebody will say something stupid and I'll hang on it, and I just keep my antenna up, and the music's always pretty easy, and I don't know, it's a gift. It's like the closest thing I have to some sort of higher power or whatever, I guess. This is something that I can't really fully explain where it comes from, but I'm just glad it keeps coming.
so having said that, what's your songwriting process? So like I know guys that the best time that they uh are able to write music or come up with lyrics is when they're mowing the lawn. Like, do you dedicate time? Like, okay, I am sitting down and writing a song, or is it just boom, got to come out?
Both. I do a little bit of both. Like sometimes I'll just say I've got to leave this room with something,
Hmm.
and I will. And it's not always great, but that's the key, is like not be afraid of making something that's shitty. Just finish it, whatever it is, however it started. If you got an idea about something, see it through. And there'll be a lot of shitty ones, but in those shitty ones, there'll be some fucking magic happen.
You know, I'm sure you've known this better than anyone. Like something that you would consider shitty, someone's like, "Oh my God, that's my favorite song that you've ever written," and you're probably like, well, "What the fuck are you talking about?"
Sure, somebody will say something like, Juicy Pure Balls, it's the best song. I must have been high. And I'll be like, you're a fucking idiot.
Bow, bow, bow.
You're just trying to be contrary.
Oh man. Um, tell us, um, tell us how did you come up with volunteer? Like, what was the story behind that?
I just thought it was funny. I had that I moved that song around. Like I played that song in every conceivable key to try to get the most impact out of it. It started out like kind of like almost like had like kind of a reggae vibe to it, and it was in G, and it was like a country-ish sort of a thing. I ain't going to volunteer. No, I'm no kind of handyman. It
All
started kind of
right.
goofy. Like I
Yeah.
just wanted to, I had this idea of singing a song about how I'm not going to help, because everybody sings about how they're going to help and how everything's going to be wonderful when they do. And I'm just going to be honest and say, nope, I'd rather not.
I'm gonna
Sit this one
pass.
out.
Yeah, I'm pass. Hard pass.
That's awesome.
Now,
Ah,
how has the song has your songwriting how has it changed over the years and like with different members where was the process different with different members as they kind of came and went, or has it always been you as the primary?
It's always in me as the primary, but yeah, I did have a lot of help from Dan Bolton for many years. He was
Mhm.
very creative, and that's why I kept him in the band. It wasn't because he was a great guitar player, because his guitar playing was very rudimentary, caveman-y, boxy and just kind of hard to deal with. But he had such great ideas. He was my go-to guy. So having him for a lot of years was great, and then he lost the fire for chasing the dream, and I had some. While he was still in the band, it started getting dark because we had like a new drummer who was shitty, and Ron Heathman wasn't in the best headspace, and the band just went through, I don't know, 5 years of not really being great.
Yeah.
And then I got Marty, and that was like 16 years ago now, and maybe almost 17 years ago. And everything since then has just been fucking on fire. Solid
So
gold.
how would you describe you and Marty's and Chris's chemistry? Like how is it different than with previous lineups? Say with Eric or Ron or any of them.
Yeah, well, this feels like the band I chose. Like I feel like the other band kind of just happened. Like the original Supersuckers,
Hmm.
it just sort of happened. It wasn't like we were seeking. I didn't put ads out in the paper or anything. These were just guys that were around when I was making up these songs, and everybody happened to be able to play a little. I could play drums, and I played with this guy in a band already, so I already knew him. I already knew all the guys from playing in bands with him before. We played in a band with that guy who we just made this record with, Liquor, Women, Drugs, and Killing, Billy Bowers.
Hmm.
We played in a band with him, with all these guys, pretty much. And we were around. I was writing these songs. Billy had left. I was now the guy, but I wasn't the singer. I didn't want to sing. I still don't want to, but I found that I can do it okay. Um, but yeah, it was with Marty and Chris, I feel like now it's like the family you chose, it's better than the family you were born into.
Yeah, it's awesome. So you guys started off in Tucson. What was the Tucson music scene like?
I don't really even know. I mean, we didn't
Yeah,
spend a whole lot of time in it.
yeah.
We when I looked at it through my my very specific eyes, and I've learned that my taste is quite selective over the years. And so I look at things kind of black and white. Like when we lived I grew up on the east side of Tucson, where it was all kind of heavy metal bands. And
Mhm.
I joined a heavy metal band in high school just to, start getting into bands. And quickly started going downtown where all the jingly jangly was. We thought of that like singer songwritery sort of like Green on Red, I think was happening then. And I don't know, just like more like what you would think of, I don't know, Wilco or something like that. It was
Okay.
like that sort of like important music, for people who are serious about it. And I didn't like that either. I didn't like the heavy metal. I didn't like what I considered was like downtown.
Yeah.
So we kind of stood out and when we started, and we only played a few shows before we moved to Seattle.
Yeah. So what was the driving force behind Seattle? Because at that point, you know, I don't think, certainly Seattle hadn't become like a mainstream thing, like, oh, this is the next music scene. But like, you know, how did that come about?
Well, we had a friend who had moved up to Seattle. So we were thinking about moving, and we knew we wanted to leave Tucson, but we didn't want to go to LA because that's what every band in Tucson did.
Mm,
And we were contrarians and just didn't want to go where everybody went. So we didn't, so LA was off. So in our mind, New Orleans sounded cool, and Seattle seemed cool because we had a friend who had moved up there and vouched for it, being a place you could wear your leather jacket in June. And I couldn't even fathom that. Like there was like a 3 month window of jacket wearing in Tucson, Arizona,
Yeah.
and June was not on that list. And so yeah, that sounded appealing.
Yeah.
And so literally all of our decision making back then was through some sort of random thing of chance. Like we moved into a house together, and there was one amazing room and three shitty rooms, and we drew straws to see who got the good room. It wasn't me. And we just had to live with these decisions, and we flipped a coin a lot.
Ah.
So we literally flipped a coin between New Orleans and Seattle, and it landed on Seattle. And so we thought, okay, here we go. And then we moved to Seattle.
Yeah.
It took us a long time to get up there, a lot longer than it should have because we were shit asses, but eventually we made it.
What was, do you remember like that first month, that first week where you're just trying to figure shit out? Like, what was that like for you guys?
It was awesome because we immediately saw a great band play like for free out in this public square or whatever,
Mhm.
in a park, I guess it was, and made friends with them immediately and got incorporated into a scene like immediately. Like
Yeah.
the second day we were there, pretty much. It
Wow.
was kind of like I liken it to being like in the Wizard of Oz, where everything's like in sepia
Like,
tone, and then they get sucked up in the tornado, and she opens the door, and everything's in color. That's what moving to Seattle was like for us. Like it was just like all of a sudden this whole thing opened up, and then we saw that there's all these great bands already there. There was a whole scene, great bars, cool people. Everybody was encouraging and not like all like, "What are you doing here? Why are you here?" We hadn't gotten like that yet because nobody was moving to Seattle.
right.
Nobody knew about it. We didn't know what Sub Pop was. We didn't know who Mudhoney was. We didn't know any of these things that were fully going on in 1989
Right.
when we moved there.
Yeah. To me, like how I remember it, like late 1990, early 91, that's where it seemed to really, that Seattle scene really busted out. So like 89, no one cared, you know?
Yeah, nobody knew yet.
Yeah.
We didn't know. And we thought we knew. We were, reading readers of Flipside magazine and
Yep.
all the portals of information that you had back then.
Well,
Circus.
89
Yeah,
would have started to been the decline of what we use glam metal or whatnot, and we would move into what would become what eventually the grunge scene that ended up coming out of Seattle.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And there was a whole lot of bands, obviously, in Seattle already hip to the death of, pop metal or whatever it was.
Mhm.
And sort of everybody's kind of sick of metal in general, but they acknowledged Black Sabbath. It was like there was still metal adjacent, but not necessarily metal, and it worked for a lot of bands,
Yeah.
ours included.
How do you think your career would have been different, say if the coin flip sent you down to New Orleans?
We would be dead.
Yeah.
Having been to New Orleans now and knowing that it's not as cool as it seems, it would have been a horrible bad. It would have been moving back. It would have been just the death of the band. It would have been a horrible. It wouldn't have been like it was.
Yeah.
Well,
We
about that
we we lucked out so
about that
hard.
era, you would have had guys like Acid Bath, who's doing a really big run of shows now. There was a Crowbar that came up out of there right around those times down there and whatnot. Um, I don't know, man. I think you guys you might have fared well. You know, I mean, good rock and roll is good rock and roll.
Right, sure. And we were good rock and roll. We were convinced we were going to move to Seattle and be the best band they had ever seen.
Yeah.
We thought pretty highly of what we were up to at that time. And we had a lead singer. We were fucking on fire, man. And we got up there and we're like, oh man, we are not only not the best band in Seattle, we're barely the best band in the neighborhood.
Um, I did want to ask you about pre-Supersuckers, High Pink. Is there any recordings of that, and how would you describe the sound of Taiping?
There are recordings. You can hear it on YouTube.
Okay.
Actually, the good recordings that that band made. And there's like maybe, I don't know, 8 or 9 songs that are pretty well recorded, and the vision of the band is kind of clear. You can kind of see what we were up to.
Hmm.
And in retrospect, it was like we wanted to be like a glam rocky band, but not like Poison necessarily. We wanted to be more like a less distorted version of this band called Kicks.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if you know, but they had a couple records out at that time, I think, and we loved them. And but we didn't want to be like all like screamy singing like that. We didn't want to have the metalness that they had. We wanted it to be more like just rock and rolly
Yeah.
with big dumb choruses about bangs and booms and hays and yas, not nonsense lyrics that, are still cool, like T-Rexy
Yeah.
lyrics. And so that's what we did. And it was pretty successful. We got A&M to chord us a little bit at the same time that we didn't realize they were recording a band up from Seattle called Soundgarden. So we had no idea that was the band, but that's who they chose over us, apparently.
Wow.
So it was fun, and that's the band that largely became the Supersuckers. The drummer and I and the singer um, were all three of us were in Ty Pink with
Yeah.
Billy Joe Bowers, who recorded the new record.
Man. So I'll definitely have to do some digging on YouTube for that. So, um,
Yeah, it's kind of fun. I mean, there's no footage. Well, actually, there is some footage as well, I guess, but it's not great. The recordings are worth a listen though.
awesome.
I redid one of them for this record I made with my buddy Frank Meyer. It's like a COVID project that we did, and I re-recorded a Ty Pink song for that.
Which one?
I think it's called Tattletale.
Okay. Very
I have to
cool.
look into that.
Pretty good.
So I did want to ask about some of the previous members that had kind of passed on. Definitely want to start with Eric Martin, the original singer there. Do you have any good stories that you can share about Eric?
Well, he was so fun for a long time. He was like the funnest guy I'd ever met in my life. And then it just stopped being fun, with the drugs. And
Yeah.
it's just sad, you just get so bummed out because he wasn't really a great singer, but he was such a great front man that I knew that if we just kept him at it, he would eventually figure out how to sing, kind of like Mike Monroe.
Yeah.
Like he was super pitchy and just kind of wonky. And it was really hard to get those Type Pink recordings that are on YouTube. The sound as good as they do with
Hmm.
him, and they still don't sound great because it sounds like a kid. It sounds like a
Right.
really young kid trying to sing these songs. And it's sort of endearing now, but especially that he's dead. But
Yeah.
it was just it. I just knew that if he would just keep at it, he would have been great.
Yeah.
And we just never got the chance to find out.
Yeah. What about Ron?
That was a much more problematic, situation because it went on for so much longer.
Hmm.
Ron was armed with all the knowledge and all the weapons and all the tools that he needed to combat his uh, desire to, you know, his addiction, I guess, or whatever. And he couldn't get past it, and it was just so hard to. When he first died, everybody was talking about, oh, what a great guy Ron is. He was wonderful, and him and I had left it badly, like with an argument.
Hmm.
I still have that on my ledger. I have an argument with a dead guy on my ledger, which sucks ass. But it is what it is. Um, so it's just, it's one of those things you can't ever rectify. You just have to live with. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just hard but Ron played some amazing guitar on these records, and he he should be remembered fondly because he was a lovely, lovely guy.
Yeah.
He was so nice and such a sweetheart, and everybody loved him, and it's just sad.
Yeah. Now, me and you have a mutual friend slash acquaintance, and he wanted me to ask, were you at the swimming event at the Arbitrum where Ron got a piece of underwater rebarb through the top of his foot?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that was horrible. When we first moved to Seattle, there was this area where the freeway wasn't finished, or they just decided not to go that way anymore. It
Mhm.
was over a big body of water, so you could walk up onto the freeway and jump in the water. It was a pretty good
Oh,
jump, and it was so fun. And we were just like, "This is here, and it's free, and it was outside. It was just wonderful. Summertime in Seattle was beautiful." And so he jumps in and he comes up screaming, "Oh, there's something in my foot!" And he's got one of those pieces of rebar was down there, or a shopping cart or something, just went right through his foot. Like, luckily, it went kind
mm.
of right through the two bones.
Mm.
But he pulls up, and it's all gurgling out blood, and we've got to get him to the hospital. And of course, this was after we had all gotten turned on to heroin, which was a side effect of moving to Seattle,
Yeah.
a dark side effect of it.
Yeah, there.
We all got on it for a minute, and then I quickly hopped off the train. But Ron was still on it when he got that foot injury. He fucking milked that for all the opiates they could pour down his throat. It was
Oh.
So let me ask you, how were you able to kick that? Because there are so many stories, from so many such talented people that weren't able to get past that. Like, what helped you succeed with that?
I don't know. I just saw some really dark shit that I didn't want to be a part of anymore, and just something snapped in me. Well, I know what happened. It was a certain episode that Ron was a part of, and
Mhm.
I was just like, "Well, we can't do that anymore. That can't ever happen.
Right.
We can't. This is not the way. It's not fun. Nobody's
Right.
having fun here. So we're supposed to be having fun. We're young. We're supposed to be having fun. This isn't fun." And
Yeah.
that's the bottom line for me, is it just wasn't fun. And it wasn't like I like drugs that you still, I don't, and I never bought cocaine ever. So I've done lots of cocaine, but I've
Yeah.
never paid for it. So
Yeah.
I feel pretty good about that. And the heroin, when that first started like that, but it became something that we needed, and everybody, it became a problem.
Yeah. I
No
mean,
shit.
imagine that. But no,
Imagine that.
you hear stories about, Lane Staley and, Kurt and, Mark Lanigan, so many of them. It's like you're listening to this and you're reading this and you're like, didn't you know? Like, and that's the thing. They knew it was an issue, but like they just couldn't stop. So,
It got so insidious that, like, when we all heard that the singer from Mother Love Bone had died, we're all like, where did he get it?
yeah,
Like, we were curious, who has that good shit? Where is it?
yeah,
Oh,
That's how mental you get with it.
yeah,
it is.
man. Well, we're grateful that, you're you're here, that you're out of that, because that tunnel, because that's nothing but bad news. So,
Yeah, for
uh,
sure. I don't even drink anymore, so
yeah.
I'm a good old boy.
What? How did you how did you get hooked up with Willie Nelson? How did you go from, hey, that's Willie Nelson, to, hey, I'm recording an album in Willie Nelson's fucking house?
That's kind of an interesting journey. It came about when we recorded the Sacrilegious record in
Mhm.
'95. We were recording in Austin with the guitar player for the Butthole Surfers, who was the producer of that record. And during that time, I met this guy named Randall Jamail, who wound up producing our next record, the country record that we made in '97. I met him then, and that started the planting the seed of the country record. And he had this thing called Twisted Willie that
Okay.
he wanted to get all bands like at our level, like us and Gas Huffer and L7 and some other sort of crusty punk type bands like us to record Willie Nelson songs and put it out on his label that he had. He was a super rich guy. His dad was a lawyer who saved Texas or some bullshit. I don't know what he did. He beat an oil company or something. So he grew up really rich and had a lot of money to blow on this label that, so much he got Willie Nelson involved. And so he brought Willie to the studio while we were making that record, and we recorded our version of Bloody Mary Morning with
Mm.
Willie Nelson. So Willie Nelson's coming in the studio, right? We're fucking freaking out, and especially me as like a songwriter who really appreciated Willie Nelson.
Mhm.
Rick Sims was in the band at the time, and he was from this band called the Digits, who were another legendary whole thing on their own.
Mhm.
Um, but he was in the band. He didn't really get Willie Nelson, and he was very embarrassing to be around at that time. It was a problem. But so we recorded this really cool version of Bloody Mary Morning with Willie playing a lead guitar and super fun. He comes in, he drinks beer, we smoke pot with him. I still have the joint, the Roach that I smoked with Willie
Nice.
Nelson. I have it framed in a picture with me lighting that joint, a picture of me lighting that joint for him.
Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was fun. I was tracking that motherfucking Roach the whole time. I was like, I'm gonna have that. And so, it was just a wonderful, wonderful experience. And then later that night, I go out and South by Southwest is going on. It's my birthday because it happens around my birthday every year. And I get arrested. Uh-oh, did I lose you guys?
No,
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 Oh,
we're listed.
what'd we get
Wow.
yeah.
arrested for?
Having an open container in a parking lot that I wasn't supposed to, but mainly was more sassing to the cops, I think. Because, it's so high. I was like, I just recorded with Willie Nelson. I'm untouchable. You know,
Oh.
the cops didn't believe that had happened at all.
That's great.
So
That
if I remember right, I think the song Clueless isn't seems like that song was like the main riff of that song was Stay a Little Longer from
Yeah, I
Willie.
think it was. Yeah.
Yeah. Dun, dun,
Yep.
dun, dun, dun. Ah, I love it. That Willie and Family album, that version of Stay a Little Longer, opening up with Whiskey River, fucking fantastic. Best
Yeah,
one two punch.
we used to cover Whiskey River a little bit for the opening of shows. It's a very effective way to start off a show.
Yeah.
And we got to do it with Willie around that time at the Roxy in LA. He well, actually when we were gearing up to do the Tonight Show with him, he came out on stage and did like 5 songs with us. It was awesome.
Wow.
Yeah.
So is Willie as cool and as chill like in real life as what he comes off, in the public?
100%.
Yeah.
He's exactly the same. He's everything you hope and want him to be, and he's 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 fucking great. He's a human cartoon, but he's just the greatest.
That's awesome. I love how you guys really cherish like the country roots and country artists. Who, if you had to pick, who would be your Mount Rushmore of country for you?
Oh boy, Willie Nelson, Merle Haggard, um, Roger Miller, and Buck Owens, maybe. I don't know. That's so
Ooh,
hard.
I just finished listening to that Buck Owens album, Made in Japan.
Yeah,
Oh,
I mean,
dude,
it's so goofy, but the way they put those songs together are it's incredible. That guy Don,
Don
his
Rich.
partner
Yep.
Don Rich, yeah, that guy was incredible. Like, I
Oh,
mean, Have you heard that thing, that Cocaine and Rhinestones
Oh
podcast?
God, yeah. David Allan Coe's kid, Tyler Mahan
Yeah,
Coe. That is a fantastic series. I tell
yeah.
Tony, he doesn't listen to podcasts very much, but I'm like, dude, you got to listen to that because like the whole
I don't
second,
either, Tony. I'm not a podcasty guy,
yeah,
but that thing is worth it. And
Oh,
his voice is annoying and everything, but the stories are so great.
yeah, that's what Bruce was telling me.
he
It
does
sounds
come
like
off a
it's
little
it sounds like
pretentious.
AI reading it or something. It just doesn't sound natural. It sounds weird. But
Dude. The story, the episode about Spade Cooley was
yeah,
just horrific.
yeah. And I already knew all that about Spade Cooley, but the way he lays it out is just fucking poetic. It's just really great.
Yeah, the way his pacing and that whole second season with George, about George and Tammy, the pacing on that was just perfect. And he actually wrote a book based on that second season. So,
Yeah, I have that book. It's too
oh, do
big
you?
to hold, so I don't read it, but I'll listen to it. I
Yeah,
listen to books.
yeah, me too. But yeah, Cocaine and Rhinestones is fantastic. So, um, what was the first album that you ever bought?
With my own money,
Yes.
uh, Pat Benatar, Crimes of Passion.
You're the second person that has said that.
Oh yeah,
Yep.
certain
Um,
age, certain time.
yeah, that's right.
They might have been born in 1967. Um, yeah, I bought it at a Walgreens.
Wow.
That's
Back when
crazy.
Walgreens would sell stuff like that.
They had a little section of, like, maybe it's kind of like they would have like at a Target now,
Hmm.
about that many records for sale, and that was one of them. And I must have heard "Hit Me with Your Best Shot" on the radio or something, and thought, I want that record. It's
Yeah.
a great
Who?
record.
Oh yeah, it's fantastic. I've got it somewhere over there. That's a great album. What were some of your biggest influences?
Well, my first biggest influence was the Knack, My
Okay.
Sharona. When that song came out, that's the first record that I mean, I didn't buy that record for myself. It was bought for me. But
Hmm.
uh, that record I listened to a million times, at least in my lifetime,
Hmm.
and still love it. Still like the way it sounds. You hear all the instruments, the way it's produced is fucking great stuff. And My Sharona, it's so sexy, and it's got a toughness and a wickedness to it. It's so badass. When I heard that as a kid, I knew that's exactly what I'm going to be doing for the rest of my life, is trying to make my own My Sharona.
Wow. Do you remember when you wrote your first proper song?
Yeah, in two different instances. Like, when I was a heavy metal kid, I wrote this song for the heavy metal band I was playing with in high school called Leather Tees. And it was just like a stupid, simple riff, but the bass just stayed on the one note, riding the one note, and the
Mhm.
guitar did all the heavy lifting. And it was, all the girls who watched the band liked that song the best. And it made me the outcast of the band. They didn't like that, and eventually got kicked out. But it was the band's best song. So that was my first, like, realization that I could do something good. But the first song that I ever really felt good about was a song that we still play, and it's called a song called "Girl I Know." Um,
Oh
I,
yeah.
I made it up in 1986, maybe, just right out of high school. So
Yeah.
yeah, we still play it. So must have been pretty good.
I love that. Are there any plans for another solo album? Because I love your solo albums.
Well, since I got Marty and Chris in the band, I've been so happy in the band. I haven't felt the compulsion to go off and do something on my own. Like, there's
Yeah.
like that Value of Nothing record. I felt like it was really, really great.
Oh, I
And
completely agree.
I had written a lot of those songs with the Supersuckers in mind originally, but just I was so disgruntled with the band. I didn't want them to have anything to do with it. So
Yeah.
I did it without them, and I'm glad I did. I did actually. That was the first record I used Chris on. Chris plays on
Okay.
that record, and You know, it's really good.
Can I ask you about When I Go, I'm Gone?
Sure.
Oh, about that, what's the story behind that?
I don't really remember what held me to make that up. It was very like I wrote it like it appears on the solo record more than how it shows up on the Supersuckers record. I wrote it as like this sort of like a funeral dirge
Hmm.
was what I was trying to kind of go after, like something to play at my funeral.
Yeah.
So that was, I guess that was the motive. It's pretty dark.
It's
More
perfect.
awful shit from Eddie Spaghetti, but yeah, I mean, you know, you wouldn't think a guy named Eddie Spaghetti would have such negative things to say. You'd think a guy with that goofy a name would be happy-go-lucky, the propeller on his hat, thing with shorts, sandals,
That's right. Uh,
rainbow
wh-
guitar.
he turned into Rafi. Was that
Yeah,
that kid?
yeah,
Yeah.
you think me more like Rafi. Yeah, exactly.
What key? Another one of my favorite songs on that album was "You Get to Be My Age."
Oh yeah.
I love that song. What
Oh,
can you
well,
tell me
see,
about
that's one
that?
of those songs that are like I'm like looking at you like, I don't know, that's kind of a dud.
Really, I love that song.
Well, I appreciate that you do. You know, they're all my children.
That's right. Just some of them are stepkids.
Yeah,
Yeah,
some of them, some of them you don't like as much.
So you've got the cruise coming up, and then you're doing some West Coast dates, you said? And then
Yeah,
I think Bruce said something about you guys going into Canada. Um, Everybody can catch you at what, the supersuckers.com?
yeah, it should be all there for
Okay.
sure. All the dates are there.
Good deal. Good deal.
Supersuckers.com or bands in town. I don't know how you guys do it anymore. I mean, how do the kids find out what's going on these days? I don't know.
I still do it kind of old school, man. I take a look at the venue. I go,
Yeah, I do too. Like if I was at a venue, I know like there's the Casbah's here in town. I like to go there. Let's check
yep,
out their website.
yep.
That's about the extent of my research.
If I'm not at the grog shop in Cleveland, then I'm usually at the Newport, the Ace of Cups. King of Clubs is grown pretty big here in Columbus as well. But or down at Bogarts in Cincinnati.
Oh yeah, we've played Bogarts before.
Mhm. And then
Yeah.
I'm located in Knoxville now, so we've got lots of great places you know to see bands. So I hope you swing back by on this on this side of the country here soon.
Yeah, we've got some East Coast plans coming up. We might do something with Zeke over there, and
Okay.
we might do a little run with the Toadies. We're still working out a couple things. So
Nice. Any work started on the new album?
yeah, I mean, I'm always writing, so I've got a few songs I think the guys are gonna like, and I just wait for them to say, "Hey, what are we gonna do? Another record?" I go, "Okay, here's some more songs."
I thought
I
you would
ha
never ask.
I thought you'd never ask. Here you go. Yes. So I'm in that stage of it right now. I'm the Cheshire catting it a little bit. I've got it. I've got something up my sleeve.
Great.
I guess last big question I got for you. What advice would you give 17-year-old Eddie?
17-year-old Eddie. I would tell him to just keep a better eye on your money. You're gonna be stressing about money at times in your life, and that's no fun.
Yeah.
Especially when you're working art. Like it's really hard to feel good about what you do when you struggle financially. You just feel like nobody's cares about it, nobody's noticing it, but that's just not true, you know.
Yeah.
It's just it's not a it's not a quantifiable skill, you know. It's just it's so subjective that
Yep.
if you can't really you can't place you can't look to money to get at money to give you value for what you're creating. So that's
Yep.
that's the advice I would give to 17-year-old Eddie. Don't get hung up on the money, but pay attention to it.
Would 17-year-old Eddie listen?
Probably not. No.
You know,
17
David,
year old Eddie thought he knew what he wanted.
that's right. David Lee Roth's got this great line. Says, yesterday I was a bum and broke. Today I'm a star and broke. In this town, that's called progress, and that's how we fit in. I love that line.
Yeah, he was great.
Yeah.
He's one of those guys I wished I could have worked with at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He he's a true artist. Like he's like this stream of consciousness. Like if you've ever read his book or tried to read that book, I mean, it's just like boom, 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 squirrel,
Crazy from the
squirrel,
Heat?
squirrel. Yes.
Yeah, I read that book.
Yeah. I'm like, first we're in
Yeah.
like the Amazon jungle, then we're talking about M&Ms, and then here's a midget that comes in somewhere. We're like, what the fuck is going on? It's a
What
great
blows my
book.
mind about him, and I love those Van Halen records that he
Mhm.
sings on. That defines my earliest rock. Some of my earliest rock and roll memories are of
Yeah.
that stuff. And that's another one that's hard. It's a hard sell to like a wife who didn't grow up with Van Halen.
Yeah.
It's just you just had to kind of be there, I guess, because it's
Yeah.
really hard to go back and turn somebody onto them. But it's easier than Hanoi Rocks. They had You Really Got Me, at least.
Yes. Yeah.
Um, uh, but he wasn't a lead singer. Like when they
No.
started, he just wanted to fit in somehow and figured it out. Like
Mhm.
it's incredible what he came up with because it made that band so unique.
Yeah. And the work ethic that all of them had really that was the difference. That's what really pushed them. I mean, obviously Eddie's talent, but like their work ethic at always rehearsing it, always trying to one up each other, always trying to, okay, what's next? What's next? What's next? That can't be stated enough. They're just drive to be the biggest fucking band ever.
Yeah, they don't. I completely forgot what I was going to say. Yeah, they don't fuck around.
No, nope, they
Yeah,
did
nobody
not.
in that band's. There's no fat. There's no dead weight.
Nope.
And like people like to point at Michael Anthony and say, he's not. He didn't belong, and it could have been anybody. No,
No.
yeah,
That pissed me off when Eddie and Alex would say that, like, all try to diminish, and they've tried to do that since the beginning.
those guys are so fucked. I mean, as far as like emotionally or
Yep,
mentally, they're challenged. They
every
always have.
one of them.
I got to interview Eddie Van Halen when they were doing the Gary Sharon era.
Oh, the
They were shooting
VH3.
a they were shooting a video for the song that they did, and I got hired by I think it was Ray Gun to go and interview Eddie Van Halen
Hmm.
uh, for the magazine, and it devolved into just a never-ending stream of him just talking shit about all the guys in Van Halen. Nobody was as good as him. It was unbelievable. Like I just was kind of the interview was it was they didn't like what I got, but it was a great experience.
Yeah, it's like,
Magazine wasn't thrilled with it, but I fucking loved it.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
oh man, we really appreciate you coming on, spending some time with us. And anytime that we can promote the shit out of this album, Liquor, Women, Drugs, and Killing, because it's a fucking awesome album. This is this is every bit of worthy of the Super Suckers legacy, and the future is just bright for you and the rest of the band. We love it.
As the kids
Well, I
say
appreciate that.
nowadays, it's a banger. It's a
They
it's a
still say
bang.
that.
It's a
I know
banger, dude.
what they change says every day, so they
Yeah,
might not
no
say that
kidding.
anymore. You think you're being cool, you might not be. Dad, stop.
Oh man, that's great.
It's not used that way, Dad.
Yep.
Don't say that. That's
I'm
not
sure
meant
you're
for you.
saying that right, Dad. What? It's a banger. Come on. No, it's not what that means anymore.
Oh shoot. Well, Eddie, thanks again, and everyone, please go check Super Suckers out when they come to your town. If you're on the West Coast or up in Canada, check them out with Scott H. Byram. I think that's starting in May.
Yeah, I think so.
Yep, May. If you're lucky enough to go to the underground cruise starting here in a couple days, say hi to Eddie. I'm sure he'll love
Yeah,
it.
I'll be there.
Good
Absolutely.
deal.
Trap me in the elevator.
That's right.
That's my favorite.
And then last thing, we're gonna ask you to give us an album to talk about next week. It could be any genre, it can be something that means a lot to you, um, anything you want it to be.
Okay, I got this.
Okay.
There's this band that I've gotten into recently that not everybody in my world agrees with me on. Like there's a few people in my world that think they don't sound like a real band or something. They're like a my one of my kid calls them a man band because they sound like a boy band but grown up. So I'm like, yeah, they're kind of like they do sound kind of like a man band, you know. They what they do, I don't know. It's like I don't know how to describe it. It's like action rock or something. I love it. I think they're fucking great. And they do some stuff that I'm not crazy about. On each record, there's a couple of songs I'm like, yeah, I could live without that one. But there's a
Yeah.
few that I'm just like, oh my God. So this band is from Sweden and they're called the Royal Republic.
Okay.
And they have a record called Weekend Man. That's I think it's like their third or fourth record. So Weekend Man by Royal Republic is a record. I'm really curious to know what you guys would think. Are they real rock or are they fake? I don't know because it just sounds their productions are really everything is right here. Like the drums are right here, the bass is here, the guitar is here, the vocals are here. Everything's just like I don't know how they do it, but everything is right where you. It's fucking so good. And they also have a country record that has versions of songs from their first couple records
Mhm.
that are a lot of them are better than the rock versions. So that's where I would send you to. If you like Weekend Man, go to the country record. I can't remember. It's something about the nose breakers or something like that. I can't remember what it's called, but
Okay. Awesome, man.
there you
Well,
go. I'm curious to know what you think.
okay. Well, tune in next week because that's when we're going to be talking all about it.
All
Indeed.
right.
So,
Well, Eddie, thanks a lot for coming on, man. It was great conversation. Just to getting to sit down and talk about the album and some of your wild adventures, man. It was a good time, definitely a good time. We would hope that in the future, if another album comes out, you'd consider jumping back on and hanging out with us again. We had a wonderful conversation. Bruce, you got anything you'd like to add to that?
no, again, thanks, Eddie. We really we love you guys. We love the music, and can't wait to see you on the road.
Well, thanks for being such a people of impeccable taste.
Good deal.
Awesome.
Well, that's Eddie. I'm Tone.
I'm Bruce.
We're hooked on Sonics, and we'll see you guys next week.
See ya.